Okay, here's how to program in Python. First things first, you gotta get Python. Good enough. I don't know, downloads. Download. Okay. Do this button, make sure you click on this add to path. I don't know what it does, but it just fixes stuff. So do that. Okay, now you just go to your little button here. It should say recently added. I'm gonna take this guy. I'm gonna drag it down here so I have it. Click on it. And you have Python. This is the command line. You can do whatever you want in here. Any command in Python you can do right here. So let's start out with a variable and define our first variable. Here we go. A equals 2. Okay, cool. Say A, 2 returns 2. B equals 4. Print B. Let's say here's the first command. Print anything you put inside the print thing. You can say print hello world, and that would say hello world back to you. You can say print A. A is 2 from up above. Remember A is 2, so you can say that. You can say you can make a new variable based on other variables. C is equal to A plus B. What would that be? C is 6. So we can say print C as well, but it's the same result. We can also do other variable types, such as we can change A. A can be now 3. If we say A, it's going to be A is 3, but let's change A to a string. Let's say hello world as A. So now if we print A, what we should get is hello world. If we just did A equals hello world, that just doesn't work because it's not a string. What are all these letters doing here? It doesn't know what this is. If we did A is equal to 1 as not an integer but as a string of 1. This is like the character 1, not the actual number. It has no numerical meaning at all. So if you say A, it's still going to return 1, but as a character, not as a number. Now if you say B is equal to, let's say 3, and we have C is equal to A plus B, C will now be this thing plus this thing. It's not going to be 1 plus 3, that's going to be 4. That's not going to be that because C is going to be now 13 because it's the 1 here and the 3 there. So if we have A is equal to hello and B is equal to world, now we can say C is equal to A plus B, print C, hello world. Forgot the space, but okay, now we're actually going to make a real program. What you want to do is press File, New File. For me it's Control N, it's really easy, so this is Control N, makes this little box here. Now we can write all of these things but sequentially right inside of here. So let's say we can make A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3, we can maybe say print C, but let's actually make C first. C is equal to A plus B. So now if we run this, you can press F5 instead. You need to save it every single time though. So let's name this test 1 maybe. Okay, so we're going to run this, press F5, we just did it already, but it just prints 5 because that's all we had to do. We had to print 2 plus 3. That's all it does, it's 5. We can keep running this over and over and over again without having to type all this stuff in again, which is really, really convenient. So now let's actually get to the next part of programming. There's 4 main parts of programming. There's variables, functions, conditional statements, and loops. So I think it would be easier for us to go over conditional statements first. Like an if statement, that's the main one. Let's say if A is greater than B, then you say colon, you press enter, and it indents itself automatically Now if it doesn't do this, and if you like are messing with a bunch of stuff and you have a bunch of jibber jabber here and you want to just indent it really fast, what you can do is highlight it all and press Control in the right bracket. Okay, it's in also right here. Control right bracket, Control left bracket. It just indents and dedents. You can move this whole thing to left and right like this. But we don't want, that's not actual code, so let's press Tab. Let's say print ninjas. If A is bigger than B, we know A is actually not bigger than B, so it shouldn't do anything except for print this 5 value right here. See? Same thing. Now let's say if A is less than B, now it says ninjas because A is less than B. There's a few other ones, less than or greater than. We can do less than or equal to. So if A is also 3, that would work. If A is less than or equal to, so let's say A is 1, it should still give us ninjas. Now we can also do different things, such as if A is not equal to B. This is not equal to B, so if A is not equal to B, we know obviously 1 and 3 are not the same, so it should still give us ninjas, it does. But if A is maybe 3 as well, it does not give us ninjas because they are the same. A is not equal to B does not check out, so the print ninjas does not work. So that's the if statement. What you can do also after this, I'm not a fan of it, but you can do else, and then you can say print, say pumpkins. So inside of this thing here, let's say if it didn't give us ninjas, so else it should give us pumpkins. See, pumpkins, because this thing didn't check out, so it went to the garbage. So if it doesn't pass this if, and if it doesn't pass, let's say another one, if A is less than B, print hello. Oh, forgot you always need to have those parentheses. It just goes right to the garbage, pumpkins, because it didn't hit this one, didn't hit this one, so it goes to the garbage of else. That's why I don't like using else, because it just picks up everything like a garbage can. But it still exists. It's still a thing. People use it a lot, so I will say it does exist. Now, if you can also do something else, if you want to have multiple things inside of this if statement, you can do more than just if A is not equal to B. You can do if A is not equal to B and A is greater than 5, maybe. Let's say that. Which A is the same as B and A is less than 5, so that did not work. So let's say now if A is equal to 7, now we get ninjas because A is not the same as B. See, the first one is A is not equal to B. We know that 7 and 3 are different, and we know that A is bigger than 5, so these both check out. And then we can print ninjas, and ninjas comes out. We're just printing C this whole time. We can get rid of that if we want. Now, instead of deleting that, because now it doesn't print that addition thing, there's something you can do. Also Control Z obviously goes back, and then Control Shift Z goes forward. Redo, undo is Control Z, Control Shift Z is redo. But let's say if we want to have print C. We want to print C now, but we don't want to have it. We want to keep it. We just want to delete it. You put a hashtag, this little number symbol, should be a Shift 3. Then you still get this. It does not print out this thing. It just basically makes whatever's right after that and it doesn't exist. So I could do A is not equal to B, and then hashtag out the rest of this line. Bang, ninjas. But this does not exist. Basically, Python does not read this at all. This does not exist. You can do the same thing with if you have a lot of stuff. Cats equals 4, dogs equals 6. I don't know. Fish equals 5. But you don't want to have any of this crap in here. What you can do is 3 quotes, 1, 2, 3, and then put it here 1, 2, 3. bang, there you go. You can put it right here too, but you just have to make sure you only, this is I think they call it a doc string or whatever, I don't know, doesn't really matter, but you can just make like a big comment with this kind of stuff. It's like a hashtag, but like multiple lines of hashtagging. It's very convenient to use. Just don't, if you just let it sit like this and try to run it, it's gonna die. Yeah, it does not like that at all. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about this if statement is the or. So say instead of saying and, you can say or. Well, actually, you can say and, but you can put lots of stuff in. You can put and or and everything. So if A is not equal to B, or A is greater than 5. So A is not equal to B, but let's just make A the same as B. Let's say they're both 7, so this one does not work. A does equal B, so this does not work. But since we have an or, A is greater than 5, it still checks out and still gives us ninjas. Very important that you do indent to the correct spacing of this. If you didn't indent, let's first just run this. We still get ninjas because this did not check out, but the or, we got that thing. We could do this with an and as well. And B is less than 10. Still checks out because it could be this thing. We have this thing, or this thing, and this thing. So you could just mix and match. I don't recommend putting this many things into here. I mean, this just makes it more complicated and everything, but you can do that if you want. Just make sure, I was going to say, to indent this to the correct level. If we didn't indent this, then was like, oh, if statement's looking for an indent, but we didn't give it one, so it didn't know what to do. But just always make sure you indent this. Okay, so now we have the if statements covered. Let's just delete this. I'm just going to go over the next topic. Is for loop. This is called a loop. So I'm just going to write it out really quick. For I in range 10, and then same thing. It's like an if statement. You got to indent it. We're going to say print I. Okay, so what's happening right now is this I is going to run through this range of 10. This range is another function that it creates a list of numbers from 0 to 10. It starts at 0 and goes to 10. So if we print I, it's going to do this. It's going to do this command and then go to the top and do this command again. We only have one thing right here right now, but it's just going to do that over and over and over again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It does that because range 10 is actually 0 to 9, not 1 to 10. It's 0 to 9, we saw. So this range function, it always starts at 0. Always this I stuff always starts at 0. The first index point is 0. We can do lots of stuff with the for loop. We can also do a while loop. So this thing runs a certain amount of time. So for I in range 10, that's how many times it will run. It only can run that many times. So there's a different kind of a loop, which is called a while loop. While, let's say while true, or while A is less than 10. Print A. Well, we need A first. Yeah, let's make it A equal to 0. Okay. And let's, for right now, do this thing where we comment out this whole thing. This just gets rid of this whole thing, so it does not do anything at all. We'll still keep it here, but it's not going to do anything. So A is 0. While A is less than 10, do these things. It's going to keep on repeating, do this thing. Print A, but now it's going to do A, and then equals A plus 1. So every single time A is going to be incremented by 1. Now a little shortcut to this, instead of writing this, you can do A plus equals 1. Same thing with A minus equals 1, but let's do plus equals 1. Okay, the same as writing A is equal to A plus 1. Okay, we do that. Doesn't matter which one we do. Here is A. While A is less than 10, we're just going to get printed out. A starts at 0 and it goes to there. So let's say less than 100. Now it's going to go the whole way up to 99. is less than 100. That's be a is less than equal to 100. It should hit 100 whenever it stops. It starts at 0 and it goes up by 1 every single time. We can do up by 2s. We can run through 2s up to 100. We can do up through 20s through 100. Do anything you want really, but it's going to repeat doing these couple things inside this while statement until this breaks. This is a for loop and this is a while loop. This thing will run infinitely, so a thing where you can do is while true. Okay, this will never ever end. This is something, so I'm going to run this right now, but it's not going to end at all, ever. We're going to kill it ourselves. See, it's not. It's just saying while true. It's just going forever. I don't really recommend doing this that often. I just recommend doing like while cont. I say cont, short for continue, is equal to equal 1. That's the same as saying equal to 1, because you have to say, it's not just, you can't just say while cont is equal to 1. You have to put equal 1. Same thing for if statements. If you want to check if something's equal, if A is equal to B, you can't write that. You have to write A is equal B, then do whatever. Let's say B equals 0. If A is equal to B, then print hello. This is a little side thing. Hello. Okay. Don't worry about the rest. So let's say A equals 0. We can make that again, but let's say cont equals 1, and then inside of this while statement, we're gonna be doing all this printing A, and A plus equals 10. We're gonna be doing all of that. We can change this back actually. We can do A equal A plus 10. But inside of this, what you can put is an if statement. So if A is greater than, let's say 10,000. Let's just do 1,000. That doesn't seem very bad. Now let's say cont is equal to 0. So now this continue, it was 1, it started as 1, and it's going to go A is equal to A plus 10. It's going to keep on doing that, and it's going to keep on printing A until A hits 1,000, and then cont is going to be 0, and it's going to check this one, and it's going to be like, oh wait, it's not 1 anymore, and it's going to stop. So let's see what happens. Hits 1,000 and stops. So this is why while loops can be like really cool. You can use all kinds of different stuff. For loops have a like specific end point, like it has this definite spot where it's going to stop. But a while loop, you can have all kinds of fun stuff going on inside there, and conditional statements like this is if, and then make it stop whenever. So let's delete this for now. Those are loops. We're going to go over them more later, but don't worry about that. The last thing I want to go over for this beginning is function. So define f of, let's say f of x, just plain algebra stuff. Let's say return, I say actually y is equal to x squared. So this is how you do x squared. So if you have a equal to, b equal to 3, and you want to do print a to the power of b, so 2 to the power 3, so that should be 8. You do double times signs, so a times b, that will give you 6. This gives you 8. This is how you would do also like a square root. You'd raise it to the power of a fraction. You can go over that later, but that's how you do that. So we're gonna define f of x. So we can this is how you shorten your code basically. So if you have y is equal to x squared, we don't want to keep on writing this over and over again later. Now let's just say return y. Okay. Now if you just run this, it doesn't do anything. All right, cool. It doesn't do a single thing. Now let's do f of 2. Now 2 to raise to the power. So we're gonna put 2. This f of 2. Yes, f. This 2 goes in the spot of x. Wherever x shows up inside of this is what happens to this 2 here. So this 2 goes to this x spot. This x is right here. X squared is this y. So y should be 4. So now we're going to do f of 2. It should still do nothing because who cares? It didn't do a single thing. Now let's say print this thing. Now we should be able to see our number 4. We do see number 4 right there. So this just helps you if you want to write a bunch of code and stuff. And now I didn't have to write 2 squared. I only had to write print f of 2 instead of writing print say a is equal to 2 f of a. Printing f of a is much shorter than writing print a squared. This becomes much handy whenever you actually have a huge function and stuff and lots of stuff going on. But instead of doing this, you can actually also just do, instead of returning y, who cares about that? Let's just do print y. So now we don't even have to do this. We can just call it. Let's just call f of 2 4, because we just printed out the 4 right there. So we can just leave this. But that is how you make a function. So that's just pretty easy stuff, I guess, right now. But we'll make some really cool functions in the future they'll really help out shorten your code and everything. Because now all you have to write is f of 2. I can write f of 9, f of 1,000 or whatever. I don't even know how many that is. But bang, right there. We just did that really fast instead of writing all that stuff out. It's much easier. But yeah, that's about it. Okay, so now we can define a variable. A is equal to 3. We can change it around. 4. We can make it a string. We can print a. We can make b. We can compare stuff if a is equal to string, which you know it is. Then we can say ninjas, because it doesn't have to be just numbers. It can be whatever. It can be whatever it is. Ninjas, right? But the last thing I want to go over is they're called arrays and vectors. So let's make a new a is equal to nothing. It's a box. Nothing right now. So let's say a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now we're going to do this for loop again. Remember this, for I in range. But instead of just saying in range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, that would be in range 4. We could do that. We could print. Let's just do that first, actually. I'm going to print a, but a special spot in a special spot I. So that means first, let's not worry about this. Let's do a pretend test right now. Let's do print a of 0. Spot number 0. Remember, spots start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do print a of 0, and it's going to give us 1. It's going to give us the first spot. So let's do print a of 3. That should be 0, 1, 2, 3. It should give us number 4. And we get number 4. Perfect. Okay, so now let's see. We're gonna pretend in this for loop we're gonna print out print a of 0, then we're gonna print out a of 1, then we're gonna print out a of 2, print out a of 3. Okay, we're gonna do that, but all very fast instead of having to do all that writing them out. We're gonna do print a of 0, then I is gonna go up by 1, and that's gonna go a of 1, a of 2. So now we should get this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to range 5. Oops. Just kind of play around with these things until they work sometimes. Instead of doing this though, just range 5, a better way to do it would be, there's a command called len for length of a. Okay, so now we have the length of a inside of the range. Okay, this length of a is inside of this range, so this length of a should give us the number of like how many spots it is. So now it should work like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it goes through the range of length of a. Okay, this is a very common thing for you to do if you want to like just go through all these numbers right here. But that's the length function inside of the range. Okay, so now you know the 4 basic properties of programming. Now the next video will be how to actually apply these 4 skills to to make anything really. You just need variables, functions, conditions, and loops, and we have all those four, so now we can start making cool stuff.